Think you know what goes on behind bars? Think again. From secret weapons made out of everyday items to survival rules no one dares to speak about. Prison life is stranger than fiction. Some inmates even became the subjects of experiments so disturbing they sound like horror movie plots. On today's episode of the Infographics Show, we are diving into the weirdest, wildest, and most unsettling prison facts that are 100% real. Number 50. The world's biggest prison break took place in 1979 inside Iran's Assad prison. It was masterminded by future U.S. presidential candidate H. Ross Perot with the help from an Iranian employee of electronic data systems. A rampaging mob stormed the gates of the prison and tore down the defenses, all to rescue two trapped Americans. But as a fringe benefit, 11,000 other prisoners were also able to taste freedom in the chaos. Even the Guinness Book of World Records honors this incident with the prize for biggest jailbreak. Number 49. Between 2001 and 2022, the United States held the highest incarceration rate in the world, peaking at 629 people behind bars for every 100,000 citizens. As of 2023, there were 1.9 million people actively incarcerated, meaning the U.S. has some extremely crowded prisons. Though not the most crowded in the world, we'll get to that later. But while 1.9 million is pretty insane, it's worth remembering that it was actually down from a height of 2.3 million in 2008. Number 48. In 2017, the U.S. prison system cost an eye-watering $80 billion per year to run. But those are just the raw operational costs. But add the effects on families, children, and entire communities, the true cost of incarceration could reach $1 trillion a year, making that $80 billion price tag look like pocket change. But somehow, that still isn't the most concerning prison stat to come out of 2017. Number 47. In 2015, 12 people died in U.S. prisons every single day, equating to around 4,400 prisoner deaths a year. But what's even more disturbing is the breakdown of what caused those deaths. In state and federal prisons, most of the deaths are health-related. Think heart attacks and cancer. In local jails, the most common cause of death is self-inflicted, and tragically, most happen before a person's even convicted of a crime. By comparison, deaths from inmate-on-inmate violence are surprisingly rare. So why do those stories dominate the headlines? Probably because those stats are less depressing. Number 46. Speaking of stats, what's the racial breakdown of prisoners in the United States? As of September 2025, white inmates make up the biggest share of the U.S. prison population, about 57% overall, according to the Bureau of Prisons. Black inmates come in second, with 38.3%, followed by Native American prisoners at 3%. Asian prisoners make up just 1.6% of the prison population. The inmate gender breakdown is an even starker split, 93.4% male and only 6.6% female. Number 45. Two different prisons in the UK have used birds to help their prisoners. HMP McGilligan and HMP Albany both have schemes where elderly and long-term prisoners can care for birds, including budgies, finches, and quails, as a form of therapy. These schemes actually benefited the prisoners, especially the older ones who saw a boost in mental and physical health. And any mistreatment of the birds would result in disciplinary action from the prisons. How about some gruesome murder to spice things up? Number 44. Prisons are no strangers to violence, but none of them have seen a murder as messed up as the one Jamie Osuna committed against his cellmate, Luis Romero. Osuna, a self-styled Satanist with face tats designed to make him look like an evil clown, really went to town. According to the autopsy report, he had chopped off a finger, removed part of his ribs, sliced out his lung, cut off his head, and used a razor blade to create a gash resembling a smile. When the guards eventually burst into the cell, Osuna was wearing a necklace made out of Romero's parts. Speaking of prison violence. Number 43. Prisoners can get real creative when making weapons behind bars. When it comes to getting the edge over your fellow inmates, you can't afford to slack off. One common weapon is the lock in a sack, a bludgeoning weapon that is exactly what it sounds like. The handles of spoons can be chewed into deadly shivs over time. Prisoners are also not above using their feces as weapons of disease and humiliation when they need to. And according to the New York Daily News, even Jolly Ranchers can be turned into a prison weapon by melting them down and forming them into a weapon. Number 42. Prisoners are equally creative at finding weird ways to smuggle drugs into prisons. Some of the craziest cases include an ounce of weed getting smuggled in via a baby's balloon, a scheme described as sad and desperate. Dissolved Suboxone mixed into a coloring book, drugs hidden in the bodies of dead birds and thrown over the prison walls, and one Kentucky inmate named Michael Jones died after soaking his underwear in methadone, hoping to cut the garment up and sell the pieces to the other prisoners on the inside. Speaking of illegal activities in prisons, number 41. The most feared prison gang in the US is the Aryan Brotherhood. Despite its relatively small size, it is notoriously violent, responsible for more murders than any other gang in the system. As the name suggests, this is a white supremacist gang who employ shock and awe tactics of extreme violence and keep their enemies in line. Founded in 1964, the Aryan Brotherhood now has an estimated 20,000 members in prisons across the United States. They also operate under one of the strictest hierarchies of any prison gang, led by a 12-man commission, which itself is overseen by an elite 3-man council. Number 40. The most overcrowded prison in the world is New Bilibid Prison in Muntinlupa, Philippines, which holds an astonishing 28,500 prisoners. For comparison, the highest capacity prison in the United States is the Los Angeles County Jail, which has fewer than 20,000 prisoners. And appropriately, for the world's largest prison, New Bilibid has a pretty dark backstory. During the Japanese occupation of the Philippines in 1940, it was first built as an internment camp for political dissidents, with a suggested capacity of less than 7,000 prisoners. Though it's seen upgrades over the 85 years of operation, the prison still struggles with severe overcrowding, especially in its high-security wing. It probably won't surprise you to hear that it's been accused of severe human rights abuses for its prisoners. Number 39. By contrast, the world's smallest prison, Sark Prison, located on the Channel Islands between the UK and France, was built to hold just 2 inmates. The island itself is only a couple miles long and less than a mile wide, with a population of around 600. It's not exactly the kind of community that would benefit from an all-singing, all-dancing supermax. Built in 1856, the tiny prison has just 2 windowless cells beneath a barrel-shaped roof, connected by a narrow walkway. Its most famous prisoner was André Gard, an unemployed nuclear physicist. What was his crime? Well, he attempted to storm the island with an assault rifle to perform a one-man coup. The solo invasion didn't work out though. After announcing the attack the day before, he was met by the island's only cop, who punched him out with a single blow and arrested him. Number 38. One of, if not the nastiest prison in the world, is the Muhanga Correctional Facility in Rwanda, Africa. The prison's become infamous for just about every reason a prison can. Overcrowding is severe, guards have been accused of physical and psychological abuse, and food and water are often filthy or scarce. Disease spreads easily, hygiene is non-existent, and basic human rights are treated as an afterthought. If you plan on visiting Rwanda, you should probably behave yourself and avoid committing any crimes. Number 37. While we're in the world of extreme contrast, the world's chilliest prison is probably Bastøy Island in Norway, known by many as the world's most humane prison. Cells have TVs and showers, comfortable beds, and a high degree of trust and authority. Prisoners are allowed to use saunas, tennis courts, and even go horse riding. They live in pod communities, which diminishes their ability to form prison gangs. And since Norway's maximum sentence is 21 years, prisoners are given educational and training opportunities to help them reintegrate into society once they're released. And it clearly works because it actually has the lowest rate of reoffending anywhere in Europe. Number 36. The world's oldest prison is Pentonville in London. Despite being built in 1842, it's still an operational prison to this day. In that time, it's seen well over 100 executions and held famous prisoners like Irish writer Oscar Wilde, who was being held on sodomy charges. It's got a pretty terrible reputation today. Crime and drug smuggling is rife within the prison walls, and thanks to its outdated Victorian design, the prison is considered an easy target for both infiltration and escape. Number 35. America's most haunted prison is the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia in the USA. It's a notoriously brutal jail founded by the Quakers in 1829. The penitentiary name came from its religious roots. The goal was to make inmates truly penitent. Prisoners were kept in windowless solitary cells, cut off completely from the outside world. The isolation drove many of them to insanity, leading to outbreaks of violence and madness. Though solitary isolation ended in 1870, the damage was already done. Ghost enthusiasts claim the prison is home to countless pieces of spooky paranormal phenomena to this day. Number 34. Pascal Payet was the master of using helicopters to escape jail. In 2001, he hijacked a chopper to break out of a prison in Lunez, France. But in 2003, he returned in another stolen chopper to free 3 more prisoners. Choi Gap-bok earned the nickname the Korean Houdini after his intense yoga practice in prison allowed him to contort his way out of jail. And Frank Abagnale, the legendary con man portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can, once escaped prison by convincing his guards he was an undercover inspector, complete with a fake badge. They allowed him to walk right out the door, where he was picked up by a friend and drove away. Number 33. Service dogs help take the edge off of prison. One study found that allowing well-behaved inmates to train dogs in prison had remarkable results: a 94% boost in overall well-being, a 32% increase in confidence and self-esteem, and a 25% improvement in mental health. And that same study found it was great for the dogs too. The program led to a 148% improvement in relationship skills and a 224% improvement in mental health. Number 32. Martha Stewart also takes the edge off. American celebrity chef and lifestyle icon Martha Stewart served time in prison in the early 2000s for a white-collar crime, lying about the reason she sold company shares. While inside, she and some of her fellow inmates smuggled food out of the cafeteria so she could use her famous skills to cook high-end meals for them all. Number 31. In Australia, prison theater is a thing. There's been a thriving culture of prison theatrical troupes and prison playwrights for decades. One of the most famous inmates was Jack Carlson, known for the viral succulent Chinese meal video that captured his famously over-the-top arrest. Talent can come from the strangest places. Number 30. Let's visit one of the most famous prisons in the world, Alcatraz. Before it was a prison, it was actually a military fort fitted with over 100 cannons to defend the West Coast. During the California Gold Rush, Alcatraz Island was fortified with the hope that its defenses would deter foreign powers from seizing control of the booming gold operations. Later, during the American Civil War, Alcatraz served as a strong deterrent against any Confederate attempt to invade California. And since the Union ultimately won, it's fair to say that the island did its job. Number 29. Prisoners built Alcatraz prison. After the Civil War, the island's military base was decommissioned and repurposed as a high-security detention center for military prisoners. Under the watchful eyes and guns of their captors, the prisoners were forced to build the facility themselves. It later became a high-security prison for civilian criminals too. Number 28. In some ways, it wasn't a bad place to get locked up. Due to the strict security concerns, most inmates were given their own cells, meaning Alcatraz never faced the overcrowding issues common in other prisons. They also had hot water for showers, which at the time was a rarity in the American prison system. The kitchen was also considered one of the best in any federal prison at the time, and prisoners were able to play softball during recreation time on the island. But there was a sinister ulterior motive to all of this. Number 27. Getting the prisoners used to hot water and fine food was a strategic way of softening them up. Given that Alcatraz was a fortress stranded in the freezing waters of San Francisco Bay, guards made sure those icy waves seemed as deadly and unwelcoming as possible to anyone thinking of escape. And it worked because technically nobody ever officially escaped the place. Number 26. Alcatraz didn't shut down for the reason you would expect. With such an infamous reputation, you might think Alcatraz's closure is tied to some mysterious tragedy, or maybe it was closed down after decades of human rights abuses. But no, the reason for its closure was much more simple. It cost too much money to run. The salt water of the bay caused rampant corrosion of the man-made structures on the island. It also cost 3 times more to house each inmate than at any other prison in the country. And every week, 1 million gallons of fresh water had to be shipped in by boat. All of this proved to be such a massive headache that Alcatraz finally shut its doors for good in 1963. Number 25. California makes prisoners risk life and limb to fight its fires. During the LA wildfires of early 2025, over 1,000 inmate firefighters were deployed to help fight the blaze. This sparked major ethical concerns. Some inmates were risking their lives working up to 24 hours a day for just $26, far below minimum wage. Number 24. A shocking number of products have been made by prison inmates. These include Victoria's Secret lingerie back in the 1980s, military jackets, baseball hats, blue jeans, McDonald's uniforms, dentures, and caskets. Some companies that used prison labor, including Victoria's Secret, have since publicly apologized for doing so. But it's not the strangest service that prisoners have provided. Number 23. Some California criminals have recorded audiobooks for the blind. This includes Edmund Kemper, the famous co-ed killer who murdered 8 women. He recorded over 5,000 hours of audiobooks with a charity called Volunteers of Vacaville. continuing the work until a debilitating stroke in 2015. All of it was done from his high-security prison wing, and Kemper has expressed gratitude for the chance to do some good and repay a small part of his debt to society. Number 22. Some prisoners get really creative in spiting their captors. According to one story told to Vice by an ex-con, a trusted prisoner in the UK was allowed to leave the facility and help paint the prison warden's house. Later, the inmate was found wearing women's underwear, believed to be contraband, just like the prisoner earlier who tried to smuggle methadone in his. And that's when the warden got a surprise. The underwear turned out to belong to his own wife, stolen and smuggled in by the inmate. Number 21. Some prisoners take pretty deranged souvenirs. In another story told by a UK ex-con, a prisoner had to be removed from their cell when the guards realized they had been keeping a pillowcase full of severed pigeon heads in their cell. It's the kind of thing that sticks with you, and definitely not in a good way. Number 20. Every prison has its own rules, but one stays the same no matter where you are. Mind your own business. Prison inmates are notoriously pretty private people, and they might have something going on that they'd prefer others, especially the guards, not know about. You think you saw something weird happen in a cell? No, you didn't. Keep your head down and keep walking. Number 19. Another rule for surviving in prison. Never give an opinion unless somebody directly asks you. Opinions are like buttholes, everyone's got one. But in prison, sharing yours with someone who didn't ask might just earn you a new one, courtesy of a homemade shiv. Sure, everyone is a critic, but critics behind bars usually don't last very long. Number 18. Don't be too eager to make friends. Remember that some of these guys have been in jail for literal years before you got there. That kind of isolation does not do wonders for a person's sense of patience. If you are in everybody's ear trying to be their best pal, you might just start to annoy people. And if you annoy the wrong people, you might just find yourself hanging over a balcony with a pillowcase over your head. But there is a worse prison faux pas you can commit than that. Number 17. You definitely don't want to make enemies of the guards. They can make your life miserable if they don't like you, but trying to befriend them is even worse. The moment your fellow inmates think you're cozying up to the guards, your problems really begin. As the old prison saying goes, snitches get stitches. So the last thing you want is to give anyone the idea that you might be gearing up for a snitch in order to win yourself preferential treatment. But if you're in for a few years, you might develop a friendly relationship with the guards. It's just something you shouldn't force. Oh, and if you needed to be told this, you might already be in trouble. But don't ever snitch if you want to live a long life. Number 16. One of the rarer rules for surviving prison is simple: be yourself. And not in the cheesy after-school special kind of way. If you manage to fall in with a group of cons swapping war stories about their crimes or time inside, don't exaggerate yours to sound tougher than you are. It'll backfire fast. Ex-cons are like sniffer dogs, and if they get the sense they can't trust you, then trouble is right around the corner. Prison runs on the currency of respect. Well, that and cigarettes and nudie mags. So respect others, and it'll increase the chance that the others respect you. Speaking of other prisoners respecting you, Number 15. One ex-con stated the importance of standing up for yourself. Again, it might seem a little like after-school special advice, but how you treat yourself will teach other prisoners how to treat you. If you find yourself getting jumped, it's vital that you fight back with everything you've got. Even if you lose and end up in the hospital wing, you will still be better off. Because in prison, predators go after the ones who won't fight back. Showing that you're not someone who can be pushed around is one of the most important steps to staying safe. Prisoners also respect integrity, so if you make a promise, good or bad, you had better keep it if you want to keep your rep. But our next prison rule might be the most important of all. Number 14. Don't borrow money and don't lend money. It's easy to accrue debt while in jail if you borrow money or other valuables. And if you aren't able to pay up, then the person you're borrowing from will make an example of you. But this goes both ways. If you loan someone money or valuables and then they don't pay you back, you have to act. Otherwise, everyone else will see you as weak and they'll start taking advantage of you too. So it's best just to be safe and stay out of the lending game entirely. Number 13. Some prisons have gift shops. This includes the prison in Huntsville, Texas, home of the old Sparky electric chair. You can buy t-shirts and hoodies showing that you either visited or served time there. Number 12. Some prisons and jails have really weird rules. Former Maricopa County Sheriff and professional human rights hater Joe Arpaio forced people in his jails to wear pink underwear and eat vegetarian food to save money. He also made his prison inmates pay for their own food. Meanwhile, prisoners in San Pedro, Bolivia need to buy their own cells. Number 11. Fortezza Medicia is a medieval fortress in Italy that has been converted into a modern-day medium-security prison, complete with a restaurant run entirely by inmates. Those chosen to work there have all shown good behavior, the cutlery is plastic for safety, and guests say the experience is surprisingly enjoyable. Number 10. Lorenzo Pollard unleashed his inner ninja in a St. Louis medium-security prison. He cut 2 legs off of a chair and tied them together to create a rudimentary set of nunchucks. And clearly he was a fan of Bruce Lee because before being recaptured, he was able to fight off 13 guards with those homemade martial arts weapons. Number 9. On any given day in America, around 4,500 children are held in adult jails. This is not only terrifying but dangerous. Children are 36 times more likely to die in a self-destructive fashion in adult prisons than they are in juvenile detention facilities. In some cases, kids as young as 13 have been sentenced to life, doomed to die behind bars long before they'd even been old enough to buy a drink, unless they are someday granted parole. Number 8. The first prison ever created in the United States was the Walnut Street Prison in Philadelphia, which was first established in 1773. Despite getting a later start than most countries, as of 2021, the U.S. held 22% of the world's prisoners. Number 7. Many have accused prisons of effectively being a loophole that makes slavery legal in the U.S. As mentioned earlier, prison labor is used to produce a wide range of goods, and inmates can be sent to fight deadly wildfires at a moment's notice, despite many being barred from joining fire departments once they're free. Some argue this is slavery by another name. The 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, includes one major exception: neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. In other words, slavery is still legal so long as you've been convicted of a crime. Number 6. The U.S. has a dark legacy of human experimentation in prisons. In one of the most disturbing experiments of the early 20th century, a prison doctor named Leo Stanley tried to improve inmates by reducing aggression and boosting virility. His method involved transplanting the testicles of executed prisoners onto other inmates at San Quentin. And when there weren't any other human donors available, he used animal ones instead, from goats, boars, rams, even deer. Stanley claimed the procedure could treat a number of conditions, including asthma, depression, and acne. Number 5. Some prisons have recording studios. It makes sense, really. What could give you more street cred than spending a little time in jail? Tupac, Mac Dre, and Young Thug have all recorded albums while in jail, but it's not just rappers. Country music legend Johnny Cash also made some of his most famous work behind bars too. Number 4. You can still get intimate with your spouse if you go to jail. This is the power of the conjugal visit, something you've probably heard about on TV, but never had properly explained to you. During a conjugal visit, something that has to be specially arranged with the prison staff, inmates are granted rare, total privacy with a visitor. In those cases, sexual intimacy is allowed. Oftentimes, these visits take place in a separate structure, like a trailer or small cabin, though these are only available in state prisons of certain states, not federal prisons. Sorry, lovebirds. Number 3. As of 2022, almost 91,000 people in the United States were incarcerated in private prisons. That's around 8% of the total prison population at the time, and an increase of 5% since the year 2000. Private prisons are highly controversial, with critics arguing they create an incentive to keep incarcerations high, since more prisoners means more profit for the industry. Number 2. Some shocking celebrities have gone to prison. This includes Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr., but also Mike Tyson, Tim Allen, Paris Hilton, Mark Wahlberg, and Sean Penn. Number 1. Ever wanted to know how to make prison hooch? It's also known as pruno, and it's made from whatever ingredients inmates can get their hands on. Usually apples, oranges, fruit cocktail, juice, candy, sugar, syrup, and sometimes even crumbled bread. You can make it using a plastic bag, hot water, and a sock to hide the fermentation process. Those prison facts were horrifying, but some inmates didn't stick around to suffer them. Watch how insanely creative prisoners escaped from maximum security prison to see the wildest breakouts ever pulled off, or click on this video instead.